you get when you combine two childhood friends who have never grown up, have an unhealthy competitive streak, and always think they're the funniest people in the room? You get the Unfunniest podcast!
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, now, we call this the act of mating.
Yeah, we don't want to do anything to scare your children.
Scare your children is pretty much all we're about. Welcome back, everybody, and we are back. Episode 10, I believe we're going here for, after a short little hiatus for Father's Day that we were all kind of busy there. Myself, we kind of played it low key. We went to downtown Detroit, went to the Riverwalk on Saturday. Really kind of cool. Walked around. Then we had dinner down in Campus Martius. A fun kind of day. How about you guys? How about you guys? Where's Mike? Where's Drew or Mike Lane or Mike? When you need him? Yeah. But what did you guys do for Father's Day? Mike Clark. Yeah.
Jim.
Oh, I thought you said Mike. Sorry.
I said, what did you guys?
You around. I watched everything you did. No, I had a little accident-prone accident. So I had a hot date with ice most of the day. Oh. But yeah.
You and that knee.
Yep.
Man.
Nothing but luck. But other than that, it was good. How about you guys?
Yeah, I went down, went out in the boat. It's probably only the second nice day of the year. Made it out, went out to Bare Naked Bay. Floated around for a while, rafted off the Romanellis and his sister. And Leah and her dad came out. They rafted off of us. It was really nice. It was a great day. Went back. Actually let Bobby take the helm of the boat on the way back. He usually doesn't even like to do that. He brought it all the way in.
Did he need to take the helm of the boat, or did you just he wanted to take the helm of the boat?
He didn't need to. I was not. No, I didn't partake that bad. No, he came back. He actually brought it all the way in. Bounced the anchor off of the dock, but nothing.
And everybody, our special guest, Ben Schock here. We'll introduce him in a little bit. But Ben, what'd you do for Father's Day?
So we actually spent most of the day on Saturday. We went down to Comerica Park and seen Jack Flaherty throw an absolute gem for 4 innings and then get shelled the rest of the game. Well, we had good seats. We were behind home plate, about 20 rows up, behind the empty seats that are new over there. So it was a good day.
That's pretty cool. Now we've been down there a few times. I haven't been there this year, but those seats down there are great. There's not a bad seat in the place, but it's embarrassing what's happening behind home plate. They need to have people in there. They need to kind of do some stuff.
Yeah.
There,
so what's the update on that, Ben? Do you know?
So really what they were pushing is the seats that actually run on the aisleway, and they're pushing those in big packages. My understanding is it's about $5,000 for those 4 seats. They're really nice. They're heated. You have immediate service, but it's a big chunk of money to sit there for each game.
Yeah.
I don't know when and I can't question the wisdom of the Tigers. They're a multi-billion-dollar operation. But I don't know where the market is for these and who wants to sit there. They're right on the aisle. They're, in the other seats, the lower seats that you see that are empty, I don't know why those aren't selling, but I think they're starting to just put people there. Like when we were there, they were giving seats away, and that's where they were putting them. So
I heard that.
I mean, it's not like the loges. Yeah, it's not like Jacobs Fields or whatever it is now, guaranteed rate, whatever they call it. But the loge down there and some of these other ballparks that have the suites down there, I mean, this is individual tickets and everything.
The last I read, you have to buy 10-game minimum. Like you can't just go and buy 1 game.
Right.
And I think half the time, because it's technically a club, so half the time they're probably just hanging out in the club watching it on TV.
Well, and to start the season, there was no services and food or drink service. You pay that kind of money, you would think that'd be waiting hand and foot on you, but apparently there was no food services. I don't know if that's been updated. They've been talking about it on 97.1 a lot. And I don't know what the latest update is on it, but the optics of it does not look good from a TV aspect.
No,
because empty seats make it look like the stadium could be full, and you got all these empty seats behind home plate, and all of a sudden people are like, "Well, I guess the fans aren't behind the Tigers."
No,
even though the
games
rest
you
of
were
the
at,
stadium is packed.
Yeah, I was just going to say. Those stadium seats are packed. It was when you were there, I think, Ben, all those seats were sold. It was a sellout all weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah, they did give away a lot of the tickets, like in the far reaches to the PAL. So, but those are still considered sold seats. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Announced paid attendance, anyways.
Yeah, I mean, but hey, they're selling standing room only tickets, and that's a huge deal when it comes to that. So, kind of while we went through our last couple of weeks, actually, let's introduce Ben. So, for anyone that hasn't, our friend Ben Schock. Ben, I don't know, technically, are we brother-in-laws or what are we? I don't know, but
brothers from another mother.
I don't know how that first removed everything else. Ben's sister is married to my brother, and we hit it off and drinking at Michigan State games. And going to share a screen here. So what we have Ben on for a couple things. Ben is one of the top local lawyers in the Metro Detroit area when it comes to elder law, estate planning, and things that maybe things you don't necessarily want to talk about. At first, kind of putting the website up here. So we'll pass this on a number of times, but ssrlaw.com and the phone number 586-239-0871. We'll put this on the website, but there's a lot of things, that kind of we go through in life and we don't necessarily think about or we don't want to think about. But for us, for our loved ones, for our children, we really kind of have to kind of go through there. So Ben, kind of the kind of introduction, what really is SSR Law and what is the main thing that you guys really do?
Well, we are I'm going to say a preeminent law firm in Macomb County. We do mostly elder law. We deal with a lot of situations where people age, they need help planning, for long-term care. We deal with a lot of guardianship, conservatorship issues, especially myself in the contested issues. You'd be surprised how often people fight over who gets to take care of mom and dad. So we do a lot of those. We also do planning for any and all ages. We've had couples as young as their mid-20s do estate planning. We've had people who are, up in their 90s doing estate planning. And estate planning is for everybody. Everybody should have some type of plan.
Yeah.
Really as young as in their early 20s, huh?
Well, I think one of the things that you quickly realize when you have children is, oh my gosh, now I'm responsible for something. What do I do if something happens to me? And I think it's important as a young parent, you kind of think about, okay, if something were to happen to me, where does the child go? Who takes over the child? Who would I want to take over the child? Who would I not want to take over the child? And that's when we get the younger people in. We had a couple that came in, they were mid-20s, they just had twins. And that was the conversation they had because, they didn't want their children to go to their brother. Their brother was younger than them and he obviously wouldn't be able to take care of them. So, that's how we got introduced to that family. But, most of our clients are obviously older, in their mid-50s, mid-60s.
Ben, we're in our 50s. Mike and I are in our 50s. Don't say older in their 50s.
Just turned 50.
Well, now, obviously you got to update it more often than not. The younger you start, right?
No, not necessarily. Good plan will grow with you. I always tell my clients, if something changes, let me know. But if you have another kid or a situation changes, we don't necessarily have to update the plan if I did it correctly. I will have items in there where it'll say, hey, we're not done having kids. We may have another one. So, I will include future born children. And there's always situations that can change. We've had clients adopt their children's children. So, that's technically when you adopt, that's your child.
Oh, wow.
So, there's things that change. And in doing estate planning, you encompass those things. And those are things you think about. And, and of course, you guys know we were once 20, 25 a couple of years ago.
A few years ago.
if we would have inherited money back then, we wouldn't have been able to control it. We would have been out shooting. It would have flowed like wildfire. You know,
Yeah.
the post in Mount Clemens would be rich.
We would own the post in Mount Clemens.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's kind of exactly it with Ben. We wanted to have on. Ben, you there?
I'm here.
Okay, there we go. It locked up for a second, but and I think that's it. I mean, okay, let's take example of any of us. You know, Mike, I don't know your situation. You and Beck have done, but us, Beck or Kath and I, in our mid 40s, early 50s, we haven't necessarily gone through it yet. We have an 8-year-old. Really, what's kind of the first step that we need to really take and kind of think about when it comes to coming to see you? What do we really need to do?
Well, I think I would start off, in my mind, I would start off with, okay, this is where we would want our child to go. This is acceptable and who's not.
Right. Mike is not acceptable for sure.
Point for Jim.
Yeah.
The second thing
this is good because this is what I was going to ask.
The second thing I would do is I would kind of look at my assets and I would say, okay, if something happened to me tomorrow, what is the kid actually getting? And then who manages that and what age do they get it? You can create estate planning to hold that money until they're 25, 30, 50. You could have that money sit in trust for them for however long you feel is appropriate, and it can be managed. But what are the terms at which they do get it? Can they use it for education? Can they use it to buy a car? Can they use it to get married? Can they use it to start a business? What are acceptable terms to you? And these are all things when you sit down with an estate planning attorney and someone like myself, I always tell clients, don't spend a lot of time getting prepared. I'll give you the things to think about and we can talk about it. What's important to me is obviously know who you are and what you have, and then we'll figure out the detail.
So is it pretty much, I mean, okay, we have 3 kids. I mean, you generally speaking, and you don't have to go into a ton of detail, but do you split it evenly between the 3 kids? I mean, I'm assuming that's kind of protocol for, huh?
Who's your favorite?
Well,
it's more fun when you don't.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah, you won't be around to witness it.
The longer you do this, the more interesting some of these cases get.
I can only imagine.
Even when you split it equally, it's the stuff they fight about. And every attorney's been doing it for a while. It's got horror stories from the family fighting about the Jello bowl to who got mom's private blanket. Things you think about people wouldn't fight over, but this stuff means stuff to everybody. We just did a case not too long ago. We were fighting over a blanket, and you could have bought 12 of these blankets. So, it's thinking about what matters to your family. You can't have. I know you and Jim, if you had an issue, you guys could go mud wrestle it out, but most families can't do that.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know because I mean, typically, correct me if I'm wrong, Ben, but like if you set your beneficiary, say my daughter who's 11, legally she can't get it till she's 18, but you can set the age where she has access to it because otherwise doesn't it get tied up in court and money can be lost?
Here's the dirty little secret. If something were to happen to you and you're using the beneficiary, she gets it the day she turns 18. So they can release it to her the day she turns 18. Now you think about where you were at 18 years old. We were all seniors in high school. Man, if I got a lump sum of money then, I would have had go-karts and, I was certainly
you got $1,000, you think.
Yeah, right.
Ben, if you got a lump sum right now, you'd have go-karts. Admit it.
Well, I'm a little bit more mature now. I probably have golf carts.
Are you on one right now that we can't see?
All right, so here's a scenario, and I'll use Rebecca and I as a perfect example because we've talked about this before, and I'm sure you hear this a ton. We've talked about estate planning. We've talked about having a will. it always gets pushed to the back burner because it's never on the forefront of your mind. So you're always thinking, well, I can worry about this later. I'm not going to die tomorrow. But let's face it, any one of us, God forbid, could die tomorrow. So let's say Becky and I sit down tomorrow and we say, we need to do this. So the first step is obviously call you guys, and then just, I guess, briefly tell us, and you kind of surmised it already, but what are the first steps? Exactly what would you ask from us in preparation for that first meeting?
I generally don't have my clients do a lot of prep work.
Okay.
I would give them some general things to think about. Okay, who's in charge, and like I said, what age do they get it? And then when we get in there, we'll go through the assets, we'll go through the family, and then we'll start talking about specific scenarios. If you got young children, is education more important to you? If you got older children, our marriage is more important. So, that's part of the process of going through it. And I always tell to keep clients from overthinking it. I just give them the bare minimum, and then I'll leave them specific 3-4 questions that I can follow up later in a week or so and say, hey, did you think about this?
Okay.
I like that.
Takes a little. Yeah, I was just. Sorry, go ahead.
It's got to be stressful. So
I like to give them a few days to think about things, and then we'll email or we'll send out a message to them. Hey, we talked about X, Y, and Z. What were your thoughts? And I think that's a good way to bring it back, because people do come in, and a lot of times they start the process and then they get cold feet, and then you got to reel them back in. That's a pretty consistent problem. There's always, 6 to 8 plans of mine that are, I call them dated, but they're, we started them 9 months to a year ago and we're still not completed. And you don't know why that is, what happened to them, why they didn't finish, but there's always some plans that just, for whatever reason, don't complete quickly.
A dumb question on my end here, but when it comes to, especially Mike's oldest or Mike's youngest just turned 18, so he doesn't have to think about this stuff now.
Today.
But with Jimmy and I with young kids, now let's just say Charlotte's 8 years old right now. Something happens to Kathy and I, and I want Warren Buffett as her guardian when we pass away. So what process to let's just say we want Mike and Becky to be guardians of Charlotte. Do the people you want as a guardian have to sign off on that as well when it comes to that?
So you do what's known as a nomination form, and I do it as a standalone document. But I say, hey, if something were to happen to my wife and I, we would want our kids to go, to my sister Sarah or to my sister Emily, and we just use the nomination form. And you put 2 or 3 people because there are situations where, hey, this doesn't work for me. I can't do this right now, and you don't want to force them to have to make that decision.
Right.
I always think of when I tell clients, I say think of 1, 2, maybe 3 people that you would want to have that responsibility. Obviously your one is who you think could do it, but you don't know, heaven forbid, what happens when you're both gone and whether they can do it. They may have their own situations.
So Jared Goff is number 1 for us. Number 2 is going to be Here we go.
Miller's going off the rails again.
But it was interesting. I never really kind of thought about that when it comes to
I didn't either, honestly.
Yeah, who you kind of go to.
Well,
go ahead, Mike.
I would think one of the most important things too is again, just from a 1,000-foot view, in terms of planning. But I've started going through some of my different accounts and making sure that beneficiaries are assigned, which I'm sure you think is very important, even if you don't have a will, right? Because again, God forbid something happens, those accounts could go awry in a hurry if you don't have beneficiaries assigned to them. Is that correct?
Yeah, you have to use beneficiaries when the option is given to you. A lot of times when we do estate planning, we'll switch the beneficiaries into a trust so we have more control over the assets. A beneficiary designation, they're 18, they get it. With a trust, or you can use the beneficiary designation to a trust. Then I can say, hey, I don't want my 18-year-old to get it till they're 27 because they're irresponsible. And I was just using 27 as a random number, but it gives you the ability to control that money. And you can, a lot of times, even, in qualified money, your IRAs, your 401ks, we can use the trust, and there's some advantages to having it go through the trust to protect it from the kids. They don't understand the tax ramifications.
Right.
Especially young kids. You get an IRA and you have 10 years to liquidate it, and you liquidate it all in year one. Uncle Sam will like it.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
You could pay some pretty hefty tax. But those are things that you take a look at. You say, you give the client the worst case scenario and say, okay, if your kid was 18 and they just received your 401k, what would you want them to do?
What? Yep.
What can you explain in a little knack of knowledge when it comes down to it? Honestly, years ago, when I heard the word trust, I kept thinking this is something for multimillionaires and billionaires. They have to do this. It's a tax shelter, whatever it is. But what really is a trust that you would set up when it comes to, family and elder law?
Well, I think a trust is, the way I describe it, a trust is nothing more than a fish tank. You have a bunch of fish, those are your assets. And your trust is a fish tank that has specific terms. I'm going to, have my savings account go into the fish tank when I die, and then my kids can't get it till they're 27. Or, the money goes in, they can use it for education, but they can't use it for their private spring break fund. So your trust is nothing more than a holding device. You create the terms, you determine how it unlocks to let the money out. But I like to think of it as a fish tank. Your assets are the fish, the trust is the tank.
I like that.
No, that's pretty cool.
Do you guys do financial planning too, Ben?
I always refer the financial planning out. I mean, I know enough about financial planning to be dangerous.
I was just going to say that.
My old Morgan Stanley days show, but I'm not giving anybody financial advice at this point.
A sock drawer.
Yeah.
So for anybody that doesn't know and not from the Detroit area, last year, Ben ran for one of the new probate judges. And the questions I've got are not about anything there, but what was it really like to run for an office, to run for public office? Because we kind of all have these ideas when it comes to, obviously it's not politics, but literally shaking hands, kissing babies, all the events that you went to, really kind of summarize what that experience was really like with you and the family, other than stressful, obviously.
Well, yeah, I'll just say we're happy we're not doing it this year.
Yeah.
It's a time drain. I can truly say every weekend we were at an event, we were planning to go to an event, or we were figuring out how to get people wearing my t-shirts to the event. So, when you're running a campaign like that, you got yourself, you got surrogates, and you're coordinating all these things at once. It was a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of effort. There was a lot of late nights of figuring out, okay, what do I do? How do I get these things covered? I have never been to so many festivals in my life. I've been to, we went to from the Polish festival to Festa Italiano to tons of trucks. I mean, we went to so many different events. The Richmond Parade, Goodfellows Parade, pancake breakfasts. I mean, there was something every weekend. And we went pancake breakfasts, we went to the Warren Fire Department pancake breakfast. We went to the New Haven pancake breakfast. We went to Lenox Richmond pancake breakfast. You forget how big Macomb County is till you're running the whole race.
Till you actually start going. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pancakes.
So that being said, what was the best festival food?
I'm partial to the Polish festival, but you certainly can't go wrong with the Italian festival either.
It's true.
But,
That's true. You go broke, but you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
How many? How many people do you have in your arsenal, your team?
At the front?
No, I'm saying for the campaign. Like how many people did you have in your campaign? Actually, what did that encompass? Like the entire team of people that helped you. I mean, obviously we saw your billboards, we saw your signs. I mean, that takes a lot, like you said. I mean, I can't even fathom the amount of time investment.
we had basically a core, I would say a core four. We had a lot of people who were big helpers who showed up at events, help with signs, getting sign locations. You know, my wife and kids were great. They attended all these events. Like I'm telling you, I'm sure they never want to see another festival again. You know, it's just you don't believe how many there are and how many events you attend, and like each one of those things, you only see the work that goes into those signs. We had 250 signs throughout the county. That's 250 business owners you have to stop and thank and talk to, and it's a lot of work getting those sign locations. And then you get complaints. We had a sign.
I was going to ask you.
You get people who complain, hey, your sign's too close to the road. I can't make a left turn on the Grossbeck when it's a one-way street on the Grossbeck. That was one of my favorites. But, and not to mention, signs get defaced.
Oh, it's a good thing your face wasn't on them.
That was Miller.
Yeah, that was me. I've got the mustaches out.
Yeah, well, we had about a handful defaced, and they all seem to be around Mark's house.
All right, so here's the ultimate question: who chose the face portrait of what went on those signs? Was that you? Was it your wife, or was one of your coordinators?
One of my campaign staff, one of the partners from my law firm, Erin, is very creative, and she spent a lot of time making sure I looked good on those signs.
When Mark had your company logo up there in the beginning, I was going to say, man, you look really good in that pic. Not that you don't look good now. I'm not saying that. Like, damn, look at that guy. A very stoic man.
There are other shots we'll have to find, Ben, but it is like an action movie. The pictures that the three of you guys kind of took. It was kind of funny, some of those pictures.
Yeah, they're cool. They're catchy.
Yeah.
So how did you and your partners kind of meet? Weren't you guys all previous at one of the previous firms?
Yeah, we all left the same firm. We decided that 11 years ago or 12 years ago at this point that it was better to be out on our own. So we started our own practice, and we've been humming along ever since.
Wow. All right, now let's get to the fun stuff here. What's one, without giving names or specifics, what's some of the dumbest things some people have asked you about when it comes to the law? Other than me, because you could probably fill 3 hours with the stupid stuff I've asked you, who I can sue.
Probably have a whole book you can read to us.
Yeah, the longer you do this, the more interesting some of the stuff gets. And you sit back and you look at it and you're like, I can't believe I went to a hearing over this. And you look back at it, and what's important to your client, obviously what's important to your client has to be important to you. But on the grand scheme of things, you look at it and you say, man, is this really worth fighting over? And how much do you want to spend to fight over this? One of my favorite cases, and the family, there was 3 kids in the family, and mom died and left each one of them $500,000 in life insurance. And that $500,000 in life insurance funded their ability to lawyer up and sue each other. And they fought over everything from, who got the family Bible to, who was getting stuff from the kitchen. I mean, it was ridiculous. And it got to the point where if you had it and they wanted it, you just said no because you had the money to defend it. We sat through full hearings fighting over, some pots and pans, for example. And it was like, I turned to my client at one point. I said, just give the pot and pan away. Like, this isn't worth fighting over. You're paying me $300 an hour to fight over a pot and pan. Maybe this isn't good use of your money, but he paid the bill, so I guess it was.
So the only people that made money on this were the lawyers.
I wouldn't say that, but if I always laugh when someone tells me it's about the principal always costs you money.
Yeah.
If you're willing to
say, how old were these kids?
What's that?
How old were those kids in that scenario?
In their 60s. in their 60s.
Oh, real? Oh, wow.
That's
Okay,
petty.
so
I
I guess I
think they
shouldn't be
were-
surprised.
I think they were litigating 40 years of hatred. You know, I think that mom and dad kept them together as a family, even though they probably will never have Thanksgiving dinner together again.
Yeah.
So it's one of those situations. Shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
Yes.
You get nowhere. Now, do you have the option to not show up like a police officer?
Yeah. I would imagine not.
I don't get that option.
Upon.
If you retain me and I don't show up, that's called malpractice.
Yep.
Okay.
So
You
back to
would
your
like
point
that-
of court. Go ahead.
Yeah, Jim, you would certainly like that better if I didn't show up, because the malpractice insurance would probably cover what it was worth fighting over.
Yeah.
So Ben informed me, and I never realized this, about all the times you have to do some court appointed stuff. And some of the greatest things come from some of those court appointed. But how many times have you ever had to basically tell a client to sit there, be quiet, or to nope, you're just plead guilty, or something like that? I mean, I can't imagine some of the stuff that you've mentioned over the years of people that try to fight when it's just nothing's going to happen.
I often start my day when we get into court, and I will say something to the effect, "Hey, if I grab your sleeve or kick you in the leg underneath the table, it means I want you to shut up." Because people will. It's one of the reasons why I don't like Zoom hearings, because I have no control over my client in a Zoom hearing. I can't kick them. I can't text them and get them to be quiet.
Yeah, right.
You know, I'd really much rather be standing next to them. So if they get out of line, I can drop my pen on the floor and reach down to pick them up and smack them on the leg. Not that we would do that, but you get the idea.
Hypothetically. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would imagine that probably some of the most pompous attorneys that you come across are these, and I went off on one of my rants about this on one of the previous episodes, with all these billboards of the hurt in an accident, call 1-800. Yeah.
I'm hurt.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that there are some of those guys, and I don't know that you come across them on a daily basis, and without naming names, but I would imagine you can allude to some of the annoyance that these individuals are.
Yeah, I think you have those people in every line of work.
Yeah, true. Very good point.
Yeah, some of them are very good at what they do. Some of them are outstanding attorneys, and then you have some you're like, I don't know how they get by other than having billboards.
It's
well,
that's one of the things that I was saying. I'm like, you cannot go a mile anymore in this area. I-94, I-75, 275, 696. You literally cannot go. And if it was legal to take a picture with my phone while driving, I would take pictures with my phone. But you can't go a mile without having a billboard for injured in an accident, call whoever. It's just incredible to me. I mean, they're everywhere. You get off the freeway. I mean, I get it.
Well, to that effect, Ben, realistically, I get in an accident. I mean, obviously you don't do litigation when it comes to that kind of stuff, but majority of people that call kind of these companies, do they really do anything when it comes to getting money, or are they just trying to get a settlement to get in and out quick?
Yeah, it depends on. There's a lot of good personal injury lawyers out there. There's a lot of people that I refer stuff to who I trust because I know they do a good job.
Yeah.
Some of the settlements you see for these personal injury cases are mind numbing. You see some of these numbers, and we had a kid who was trick or treating on Halloween who fell over one of those blow up things you put in your yard. It had an extension cord run into it. Well, he tripped over the extension cord and broke his arm. The amount of money he got is brain numb. Like, you could not. I don't know how anyone can tell me on Halloween they can't foresee a young kid running through the yard and tripping over an electrical cord.
Yeah.
But the money
young kids break their arms all the time.
Right. the money he got for it, I've been telling my kids from now on to run behind these things and trip over the toilet. And I joke, but I mean, it's ridiculous money. The plaintiff's bar right now is doing really, really well, whether that be, auto accident cases, whether that be personal injury. There's a lot of money being made right now.
Wow.
Well, I brought up a scenario, and this just happened about 5 years ago. Rebecca was in my car, and to make a horrifically long story short, at a stoplight, the car in front of her started to inch forward. She had a brain fart. She started to inch forward. It had a trailer ball on it. She inched forward, bumped the trailer ball, barely cracked a very small portion of the bumper in the old Ford Taurus. Again, long story short, we get a notification from a law firm in the mail. Hold on, go back to it. Police came out. No report was given. No citation. Actually, I think Rebecca was cited. I don't remember exactly. Long story short, they did get a settlement well into the six figures, citing long-term, had to be off from work, medical issues. I'm like, from a bump on a trailer ball that caused a crack in a bumper. That one to me, that one was mind-numbing to me. I'm just like, wow, this is where we're at.
When you get those types of cases, you never know what that person is. In law school, you learn about the plaintiff with the eggshell head. That's the case. If you hit him too hard, the eggshell head cracks. Maybe that's what you had. Personal injury it's not my cup. It's not my cup of tea. But man, some of these cases you see and you listen to about, they're mind numbing. And then the numbers that these people get. I mean, I can see why that there's signs for it everywhere.
Yeah, right.
And those attorneys get a third on those. You get a mind blowing number, and the attorney's getting a third. You're doing okay.
You're doing just fine. Whew.
That's crazy.
We could quit our jobs and our podcast, Miller.
There's the motivation.
Not that we're getting paid for this.
Now, I'm going to talk about something else that's kind of in the news right now when it comes to law. And this isn't a joke. This is a serious one we talked about earlier in our prep. But there's a lot of school districts that are banning phones in school. And there are lawsuits, I got to imagine, that are popping up left and right because of this, whether it be their civil rights, whatever the case is. To me personally, I think there should be no kids having phones in school. Before, when you didn't have laptops, a lot of the teachers were having kids pull their phone out. They would use it for research. They would use it for different things like that. Nowadays, kids have laptops. They have their Chromebooks, everything else. But it sickens me to see these parents say that kids have to have these phones, other than them filming all these fights that we see all the time, half the time in the schools. What other need for it? What do you guys think about when it comes to, and Ben, maybe let's start with you. What do you really think about kids having phones in schools when it comes to that?
I'm all for getting rid of them. And I have two kids that are in middle school. Phones are becoming a real problem. Those things are attention grabbers. And, I think our kids are losing their way and they can't occupy themselves now. They run to that phone to occupy themselves. And really, as a society, we use our phones to occupy us. We don't, you don't go out and practice hitting a chipping wedge because your phone can do it, and you can watch a video of someone hitting a chipping wedge and you feel better, and all of a sudden you're a master. I'm all for taking it out of schools, and I would just think it'd be easier if you don't have the distraction. Not to mention, these kids are impressionable, and what they say to each other, they don't realize that what they're saying is these kids haven't formulated enough, and they don't know sometimes enough that what is being said isn't meant as horrible as it sounds. And
it's permanent too.
Right. If you think back to when we were kids, if I had a problem with Mike, I could say, Mike, let's go out on the playground, and you tag me out at first, I'm going to beat you up. That's how we settle things. Or if it didn't work, you came to a different conclusion. We don't have that now. When there's a problem with Mike or anybody, you text his phone and you say, "Hey, you're a jerk. Stop doing this." And I'm using jerk, but you could probably use a lot nicer terms.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think
Go ahead, Ben.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, I'm good.
No, I was just gonna. I was gonna say that Miller and I agree on this one, and you obviously as well. There is zero reason to allow phones in the school, and the parents are going to kick back and say, "We need it for safety reasons. We need it to be able to get a hold of the children." Okay, I understand that concern. They are in a lockdown facility, meaning the school. You will be able to get a hold of them when because this always comes up on a personal safety situation. If there is an active shooter situation at a school, whatever it might be, those kids are going through safety training. To the last thing they want to do is all of a sudden find their phone, get their phone. Their priority is to get to a safe spot, listen to their teachers, follow the protocol, and then go from there. They're not trying to find a phone to be able to talk to the parents necessarily. Well, hold on one second. So that's always one argument that you hear about it. But to your point, Ben, to your point, Mark, these kids don't need these phones to have the unbelievable distraction in school. It is an absolute temptation for them to pull it out at any point where the teacher's not looking. I get it. We used to pass notes, right? You suck. I'm going to kick you. Like you said, I'm going to pass you a note.
Books.
Meet me on the playground afterwards. But yeah, I mean, this is another thing where I always say, if you, Ben, you, Jim, and you, Mark, decided to hang out 20 years ago and you didn't invite me, I would have no idea. Therefore, I wouldn't go into depression mode that I wasn't invited to the party, right? Maybe I heard about it afterwards. Then I got maybe upset. Now it's you three are going to go have a party by yourself. You're going to tape it. You're going to blast it all over social media. And me as the fourth person in that party, I didn't get invited. I all of a sudden now you've got real fear of missing out. They don't need that kind of distraction in school. The mindset should be focus on education, converse with your friends in school, actually have face-to-face conversation with people. Let's get back to that. But yeah, I think that getting rid of, and Kaylee's Lutheran North got rid of, was it last year? I think last year they quote unquote outlawed cell phones in the school. So we couldn't get a hold of it. And guess what? So it has been 2 years. We didn't have a problem. I knew, Becky knew, we all knew we weren't going to be able to get a hold of Kaylee during the day, or at least, maybe not till her lunch hour. So I'm all for it. Get rid of phones in school.
I agree 100%. I think
it's Jim's turn, Miller.
No. Sorry, let Jim talk.
No, it's okay. Yeah, let Jim talk. No, I'm 100% for it. I think the biggest issue is going to be getting it to pass just because of safety reasons, like you said, Mike. I think there's been some certain situations where a school does go down into lockdown and there's an active shooter. And I think it's actually helped the police, get to the shooter quickly. I can't specifically name those schools and times, but I think that's what's going to make it the most difficult. But at the same time, I do agree. I think it kind of holds our kids back just from learning and
100%
becoming adults quicker. Like you said, Ben, I mean, take it outside. That's how we do it. And then you go home, you tell your parents, maybe the principal would get called, but
yeah,
the whole classroom of 30 plus 32 people, other kids aren't getting it in a text thread or seeing it on TikTok, Facebook, etc.
I was shocked at something, not the actual video. I'm sure you guys all saw about that helicopter crash at Cabana Blue up at the restaurant just north of here on the lake. The thing that was the amazing thing on the video
shift.
But no, but it's about cell phones. The guy filmed it and was showing it. The propellers hit, it flipped. So you don't know. Those propellers are blades that are flying everywhere. And a woman, instead of running, gets her phone and puts it up to start filming it.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that clip?
I didn't see the clip. Can you find it?
Did you see the clip from
I'll try to find it. There was the one
clip from Cabana. Yeah, from Cabana Blue, which showed it. And I have not seen any in TSB report yet as to why, but it looked like he made a perfectly good landing. And then all of a sudden
it looked like wind.
It really wasn't that windy though. Saturday I might have understood. Yesterday, not as much. There was a southeast wind, so that did play into a little bit of that. But that tail came up and then boom, listed to the starboard side, and it went over quick.
Well, what did we hear yesterday, Mike? He was told not to land there?
He was told not to land there originally. Oh, he asked for clearance. he was denied clearance, and then for some reason, again, this is all hearsay. This is not official. Somebody did grant him clearance, so he came down. I don't take my word for that, but yeah, I don't know exactly the details around it just yet.
All right, here we go. I found it here. It's going to take a second. Oh, clearance, over, under.
Roger. Victor. What's your over, under?
Do you like gladiator movies?
What? Oh,
all right.
Did you find it?
Okay, let's see if it come on. Okay, now watch this woman.
And we lost Miller.
We did lose Miller.
He gone.
He shared his screen and he kicked himself off of the platform.
Yep.
So now we have to ask the question is how long are we actually going to last without the pilot at the helm seat?
Well,
he's having convulsions.
You guys were talking about cell phones in schools. I always find it interesting. Like here you have somebody crashing a helicopter, and what's your first instinct? But to pull out
all
your
right,
phone to
give me a
record
second,
it
guys. Looks like I'm having problems.
Rather than to see if the
That's
guy's
a very good
okay.
point.
Help somebody. And you see
when
it.
you actually, go
ahead, Jim. Go. No.
I was going to say when you actually see this video. So one of the guy that has his back to it, he's at a table eating, and he gets up and he looks around because there's kind of a tent in the way, and he sees the helicopter crash, and then he just walks to the right, and then seconds later you get like 2 or 3 guys that start rushing towards it, which is very brave because you don't know if that thing's going to blow up.
Yeah, you have no idea.
Yeah.
Well, again, it's to the point of, and this is just not just this helicopter crash. It's anything in society. What is the first instinct? Grab your phone and video record, as opposed to actually helping out. If there's a life-threatening situation, the first instinct is to grab a phone.
Okay, if you're going to grab your phone, call 911. Don't start recording.
Yeah, right. That too.
But that doesn't get you any clout.
I know it doesn't get you clicks. It doesn't get you likes. It doesn't have you on the Instagram or the chapstick or whatever the hell it's called. It gets your visibility way up there.
Okay.
Did you try and share your screen and then kick yourself off?
It kicked myself out, but you guys got the gist of saying that.
We were talking politics while you were gone.
That's what I figured.
And religion.
Exactly. The big things. All right.
Ben said the hell with Miller. We're talking politics. Let's go.
Right. Exactly. So, by the way, the greatest question when we were campaigning for Ben that everyone asked, number 1 or number 2, was, is he Republican or is he Democrat?
Oh, geez.
And I'd be like, what are you? I'm a Democrat. Okay, he's Democrat.
Yeah.
What are you? A Republican. All right, he's a Republican. Let's go to something a little bit more fun, if you will. The sports playoffs just recently ended. We had the NBA Finals yesterday, kind of wrapped up.
Miller's predictions. Dun, dun, dun.
Well, okay. I predicted the correct winner, just not the right games. Did any of you guys watch Game 7 last night? Because normally Game 7 would be something that everyone had to watch it.
Bits and pieces. That was it. I did not see when Halliburton went down with his calf injuries, which turns into an Achilles tendon. So he is out for a year and a half. Him and Jason Tatum. So the East is wide open. Not to go off on a long tantrum. The East is wide open for the Pistons. It's the Cavs. Go ahead, Jim.
No, I was going to say when he went down, that's when Miller won that bet.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's interesting because they were talking about that this morning, and then I saw it on one of the sports websites that said probably one of the biggest what-ifs in NBA Finals history, actually in any sports Finals history, really. Like, what if Tatum doesn't go down? Because at that point, I think they were up by 1 or maybe down by 3, if I'm not mistaken. And then he goes down, and you could kind of see, I mean, that was it. And nobody expected the Pacers to be in Game 7. Nobody expected the Pacers to be in the finals to begin with, let alone taking OKC to Game 7. So that was pretty impressive in and of itself.
All right, so I got a quick question on the ticket this morning, or early, whatever. Carson Gator brought up the question. So he obviously hurt his calf in Game 5, I believe it was.
That was earlier than that. Wasn't it Game 3?
I think so.
Yeah,
Game 4. Maybe it was Game 4. You're right. Sorry.
So
go ahead, Jim.
At the point of his career, do you play? And I thought that, first of all, it's an unfair question, knowing the outcome to begin with. And second of all, I think it's an absolute 100% you go. I mean, isn't that what you
go
went for
In the
first of
finals,
all,
yeah.
to get to the NBA.
You go.
Now that you're in the NBA, Game 7 of the NBA Finals. Yeah, you go.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm of the firm belief that you go. If you can walk, and this has been said many times, if you can walk, you go. Obviously, you have a lot of team doctors that are very highly paid to advise you one way or the other. But if the team doctor says, "Hey, you're good," I mean, you're not 100% by any stretch of the imagination, but if you can walk, you go. Game 7, NBA Finals, absolutely. I mean,
Well,
look at what Kachuk was dealing with from the Panthers. He had a ruptured spleen, he had a sports hernia, and I don't remember what the third. He had 3 or 4 different things. He's talking to the reporter. He's like, "Yeah, I had this, and this." You could see like the whole country go, "And you played hockey? Holy mackerel! Wow, it's like that's a typical hockey player. I mean, that's what they do."
The inside of his palm, I think.
It was something. I mean, the sports hernia alone. Can you imagine the pain of playing with that?
having to push off when you skate. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
How about Ben? Do you watch any of the NBA and the finals this year?
I don't. I watch baseball every night, but NBA is not my cup of tea. I might have turned it on for 2 minutes to catch the score, and that's about as much as I watched all season.
What are the boys watching for sports? Obviously, Benjamin is 100% football. It seems like all the time. But what are your boys watching for sports?
They watch football. Benjamin can watch the NFL Network and watch the Wake Up Good Morning NFL. I don't. He enjoys it. That's what's important to him. But for me, it's all baseball. And Clay watches Lego Masters and.
That's my boy,
great.
Clay. I love Clay's awesome.
That's an expensive sport.
Yeah. Okay. Ben,
so you predicted OKC in a sweep, right?
Okay, so Ben, you were the closest to being a judge when it comes to this. So Mike and Jimmy both had the Pacers winning in 7. I had the Thunder winning in 5. So technically, who wins
you said
that?
4.
No, it was 5 on the podcast. I mistyped. Who technically is 1? It is the team that wins it or the number of games?
I would say the team that wins it.
I know the answer to this one.
It's the team that wins it, yes.
Yeah.
Well, okay, then that goes back to the NBA and the NHL.
Price is Right rules you went over.
NHL, I had the Oilers in 6, and these two guys had the Panthers in 7. So you guys get that win for the NHL.
That was an impressive hockey team, meaning the Florida Panthers. And you could tell they were dialed in from the first game, the first puck drop. They talked a lot about the locker room. Your favorite player ever, Brad Marchand. He gelled right in with them. I mean, that's it. So I had somebody talk to me today about a guy that they were going to hire to fill a position that he used to be in. Should they hire him? Should he not? He left on bad terms, blah, blah, blah. If we don't hire this guy, he's going to go to the competition. Well, that's not going to be that big of a deal because he used to talk bad about the competition. Right. Brad Marchand used to be the ultimate enemy of the Florida Panthers and talk smack about the Florida Panthers when he was with Boston. Insert him into the lineup in the Florida Panthers and they win the cup. So it's just one of those things, like you adapt to your surroundings. Maybe you don't like somebody to begin with, but hey, maybe you open your eyes a little bit, you fit right in, and then you win the championship. So always keep your options open.
Those guys know how to party, that's for sure.
Oh, buddy, let me tell you. So I work with guys down in Fort Lauderdale. One guy sent me a video from the A1A right in front of Elbow Room. And he's got the video. I should have brought it up. But those guys are on the top floor of the Elbow Room, which is a great bar right on the beach in Fort Lauderdale Beach. Cup's up there. Marchand's up there. Kachuk was there. Kachuk, they said Kachuk kept asking for the same song over and over again. I can't remember what the heck it was. But, yeah, they definitely know how to party. Those guys can bring it, man.
Well, who was it that was going door to door at 5 a.m.?
Oh, that was Barkov.
Barkov, yeah.
5 a.m. The captain. They showed the ring door. They showed the ring doorbell shot from him, and he's ringing the doorbell of his neighbor. You could tell it's a gorgeous, obviously, a neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
He's ringing the doorbell, and he's looking inside the Ring doorbell, and you can see the cup in the background. Can you imagine being the neighbor at 5 a.m.? Like, my goodness!
Did you guys get
at first, and then you're like, okay,
I gotta wake up.
Get downstairs. Yeah.
Did you hear the Bobrovsky at the parade? By the way, his speech about Bobby. Hold on, I'll play it here.
Bobby.
I'll play it for you guys. Can you hear me? Can you hear it?
It's been a great year, great playoff, and great victory. I think I like to get together at this time of the year. I think with this unbelievable ownership, with great management, with the great coaching staff, this fantastic
I love
group of
Russians.
guys, with incredible you guys, with incredible fans, and with the blessing from the God, we can all be together here next year.
Oh no, that was the one. I'll have to find it, but he's getting the crowd to chant Bobby for Bobrovsky, and it was hilarious. But some of those guys trying to do speeches are incredible. It's awesome. By the way, did you see where the parade was at, Mike?
I did not.
It was on the beach, is where they had the celebration.
Oh, was it really?
Right in Fort Lauderdale Beach. It was where the parade, the end of the parade was.
Been there many times. It's one of my favorite spots.
All right. Now let's talk about something that Ben, let's talk about one of the things Ben is most passionate about, the Tigers. Ben, what are your thoughts on the Tigers right now? What do they need at the trade deadline?
They're playing really good baseball right now, so you got to be careful what you add. They do need pieces though. They could use a right-handed third baseman. Expecting Veerling to come back at this point, I think, is probably asking a lot. And asking McKinstry and Javi Baez to continue the pace they're on. I mean, Javi Baez is a great story, but I don't know if he'll be able to do it all year. And McKinstry, I mean, he comes out to a What If by Creed. Certainly, he's got the best walk-up song right now of all the Tigers.
What is it?
Next to Kerry Carpenter's Jesus Jam, but you get Zach McKinstry coming out to What If by Creed. He's hitting 280, I think. He won't keep that up. But I think
what's Javi coming out to?
I have no idea.
Oh, I thought you said I thought you said he was coming out to something.
Javi's got his Latin mixture. To me, I can't tell the difference, but he's playing unbelievable baseball.
So I still think they need a number 4, number 5 starter as well. I think they can't do this pitching chaos because it's been destroying them lately.
Well, the one thing that I think everybody was freaking out a little bit on their 3-game losing streak was you keep hearing the same thing over and over again. Wow, is this the real Tigers that are coming out? Are they gonna all of a sudden go 2-10 or 3-13 or 4-18, whatever? But if you actually look at the other top teams in the league right now, the Yankees were shut out 3 straight games. 3 straight games. One of them was a 1-0, 10 or 11 inning extra inning game that they lost. They didn't score a single run in 3 games. So you look at the Yankees, their record in the last 10 is 3-7. Toronto's 4-6. The Tigers are 5-5. The Tribe's 5-5. Kansas City's 4-6. Minnesota is tanking. They're 1-9. And then you look at the Mets. The Mets are 1-9. The Mets were considered just a week ago, maybe 10 days ago, to be probably the favorite to win, maybe them and the Dodgers, to go to the World Series, right? They are 1-9. The Dodgers are 7-3, so they came back a little bit. San Francisco 4-6. So where I'm going with this is, if you look at the Tigers, they're 5-5. They had a 3-game losing streak. They have not been swept in one series yet this year. And just because the first series they were swept.
That was the
Oh,
only
yeah,
one.
I'm sorry. Yes, they have not been swept
that's it.
since. Right,
Yeah.
right. So, but if you look at them in perspective of all the other top teams in the league right now, they are fine. And I do think that this team is for real. I've said that before, and I think a lot of people have said the same thing, but they are absolutely the naysayers out there. But if you look at a perspective and you look at the comps of the other teams and what's going on right now in the league, dude, they're just fine. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to make a run at this thing. So hang in for the ride.
I'm just brought up the MLB standings, and one of the things that really is sticking out is the run differential. The Tigers had over 100 run differential, plus 100 for a while there. They were leading the league. They're at plus 82 right now, which is good.
Right.
The Yankees are at plus 105.
105, yeah.
That's shock, but that's what playing in the bandbox, right, Ben? That they play in. I mean, that's what they're getting, all those cheap home runs.
Yeah. What is I hate to dwell on this, but Colorado I find is a fascinating story this year too, because they got a chance to really, set the record on the other side.
I'm gonna say this. Holy shit! The run differentials for the Rockies is minus 202.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
That deserves that holy bleep.
18 and 16
wins or 12 wins. Something
18.
Absurd. 18.
They have 18
right
wins. Now. Yeah.
And they're 5-5 in their last 10.
Yeah, they're making a run at it. Well, the other thing to look at too is the Tigers. Those two losses were to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is 7-3 in their last 10, and they are only 2 games back of the Yankees. They're 43 and 35. So it's not like they lost 3 games to a pitiful team. So again, I guess I just want to reiterate, and this is coming from an Indians fan. Realistically, again, my friends in Cleveland.
You're a Spider fan. It should be the Cleveland Spiders. Come on, let's get real.
Right. Yeah, no, they're fine. I think they're in good shape. But Ben, you're right. They absolutely need a right-handed third baseman, and I think the bullpen's I think some of the bullpen that was so strong last year in that run, they're starting to rear their ugly head in terms of giving up some runs. So I think they might have to address that at the trade deadline too. So.
And okay, now we're going to talk about Ben's real love. It's not his family. It's not his children.
Loves.
It's not his family. It's not his children. It's not the one real joy in his life, Lucy. This one is the Michigan State Spartans. What's going on with the Spartans this year, really? Because the only thing I keep hearing about in the Big Ten is Bryce Underwood. And Michigan State can do anything this year?
I have no idea. I would expect them to be a 6-6, 7-5. They're going to be competitive, but I think they're really a year away from having the depth that Smith wants. College football is so interesting right now because it's completely becoming an NIL game, and you can even see it in Michigan State's emails. We hire the new AD, and on that Friday we get an email introducing him where he says, "Hey, we need more money. It's time to step up." And it didn't say that, but that was the aura of it. As, hey, if you want us to be competitive, get your checkbook out. And I think that's the way it's going.
Reality check.
Yeah. How much support are you going to have for these stadiums that sit 80,000 people, and you go to a game that's 4 hours, and the dude with the red hat spends half the game on the field? For those, the dude with the red hat drives me crazy. But how much more money do you chuck down on these things when you're already spending? My parking pass. I have to contribute $400 for each seat just to get a shot at my parking pass. I mean, it's a lot of money to chunk down for something that's not a superior product. So I don't know. I could agree.
Yeah, so you guys can blow out Western.
I could go on and on about Michigan State's request for money because, I have both my undergrad and law degree there. That I get a lot of emails requesting money from them, and the athletic department is no different.
Yeah. That's a tough thing, especially with sports nowadays, especially the NIL paying play. What is it? $2 million you guys' quarterback is making or something like that? Is that what he got from coming from Oregon State?
I don't know. I don't
understand how it went from one extreme to the other.
Yeah, I don't know what the I could see if NIL money, if you were selling selling cars for Sundance Chevrolet or something like that, and they used your face and they paid you for it. That makes sense to me. But like $10 million to go to the University of Michigan and you've never, that's a lot of money. That's
Step
life
foot on the
changing
field.
money. Yeah. I mean, that guy could get injured in his first game and never play again. What do you gain from that $10 million?
Right.
Now, is that 10 million guaranteed? I mean, is that paid out over basically saying that here's a check for 10 million for coming, or is that a lot of those NIL deals, or is it $10 million based upon 4 years of playing there?
That's the problem, though. You don't see, we don't know that, because this is the problem with the NIL. There's so many questions surrounding it. There's nothing really written in stone like an NFL contract is. Okay, 10 years, $40 million, $4 million a year. Okay, well, how much of that is guaranteed? That's always made public. The NIL thing is just, it's off the guardrails. Like, well, it's $10 million. It's going to be paid X amount here, X amount there. Nobody really knows, at least as far as from what I can tell anyways. There's too many questions around it. I've said this before, that this whole thing, there's zero guardrails. We've flown way off the guardrails.
No, I agree 100%.
Ben,
go ahead.
Yeah. You would know, okay, this is a legitimate question, because anybody that works at a public university, I can go on the website and I can find the salary for every single person that works at Michigan State, from the janitor to the athletic director, because it's a public institution. My question, though, when it really comes down to is now, number one, are these players going to be considered
government employees?
Right. Mm-hmm. Now, are they going to have to report these salaries that these guys have to make?
So I think so. I think with revenue sharing, now that they have to share revenue, you're going to start to see this morph into contracts where if you want the revenue, you've got to stay, you've got to, and that'll close up the Wild West of these NIL deals somewhat. Because the revenue sharing is going to have to be reported. It's going to have to be shown how the money's being used. These NIL deals, though, Mark, I'm going to give you $5 million if you eat a Melting Moments every day. They're just obnoxious.
Is that the ice cream sandwich that's there at Michigan State? Because I want that. I'll take that deal. I'll do that deal now.
What's it called, Ben? Melting Moments?
Oh, the greatest ice cream sandwich ever.
Are they really?
Cheap,
what's
too.
on this thing?
I'm going to have to try one. Melting Moments.
Well, isn't that's made by the MSU Creamery or something like that, isn't it? It's right made on campus?
I don't think so. I think the guy who owns Melting Moments also owns Halo Burger and Cops and Donuts now.
Names are ridiculous.
Really?
Yeah. So, I'm looking for the Halo Burger on a glazed donut, but
sounds like something you'd get at like Bath and Body Works. I gotta be honest with
it's
you.
a scented candle.
All right, hot and now, yes, I could handle that, but it no.
Too funny.
So, all right, so we get to look forward to opening weekend. Michigan State playing at, Michigan State hosting Western Michigan this year, and
oh boy,
my boy Jake Taylor, or whatever his name is, Coach Taylor, the Western coach. I have no idea what we're going to be this year. Same thing. Where this NIL is killing them is the MAC. It's killing these mid-range teams, because if I'm a MAC school, I get a great player that maybe fell under the radar, and I really work with him for a year, and he has an unbelievable year. No one's staying at a MAC school. They can't pay anybody.
No,
you're going to go to a Michigan State. You're going to go to Ohio State, and I can't blame the kids.
Yeah, what would you do? I mean, you go someplace that's going to, just to say, $1 million. I mean, for an 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid, that is life-changing. Like you said, Ben, especially $10 million. That's life-changing money, at least at that point in your life. So,
it doesn't work out, and you enter the portal a year or two later, right?
Or the next week.
See, that's the thing. I don't even know how that works.
But I think I have these mental exercises in my mind. If it was my kid, I'd have him enter the portal every year, and the biggest donator gets them, because it's all
right.
life-changing money. Like, I love Michigan State and I love everything that Michigan State has provided me. But if the University of Miami offered my kid $5 million, I'd put on a Miami U.
Why not? Use the system.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no loyalty.
Well, what I say earlier, right? Brad Marchand, he hated the Panthers. The Panthers, they hated him. So what? Here's some money. Come win a cup. Guess what? Won a cup. I mean, right?
To that effect, to that with me, Ward, with everything else, Mike, you know what time it is?
Oh, no.
It's that time.
Here
I think
comes
it's that
Kathy.
time, Mike. Kathy's gonna give me 1 second. Let me find it here. We're gonna
delay from Miller on Kathy's announcement of the rant.
I'm trying to find it here now. I've got this one here, Mike.
Mimic?
Uh-oh. We got something coming here.
You get out of my face.
You could do this one.
Out of my face, or I'm gonna roundhouse your ass.
That's the best.
Oh, here, or this
Nobody wants a roundhouse kick from this man.
We meet again, Trebek.
Oh, yes.
All right, I think this is the one we need here. So let's all give the respect it's due.
Here
It's
she
time
comes.
for everyone's favorite segment, Mike's Rant of the Week. And now, here is Mike with his rant.
Yes, today's rant goes along the lines of everyone stop whining and complaining about the heat. It's summer. Holy cow, I've never seen such a bunch of patsies in my life. So I told you, I texted you guys this morning. So I was driving. This is literally about 6:15 this morning, and the 97.1, they started whining and complaining about the heat. What are you going to do to beat the heat? It drove me so crazy. I decided to text them, and I think I said, this weather is, and I put phenomenal in all capital letters. Phenomenal. I said, go out on a boat, find a lake, find a pool. We've suffered through the worst spring in, I think I said 50 years. And then I said, bring on more heat. What was it, Saturday? They issued a heat warning. For what? The wind was gusting at 40 miles an hour. It was 88 degrees. I'm like, who's going to die in this? Same thing with yesterday. Yesterday was, okay, don't get me wrong. It's hot out. I get it, right? But all of this is unprecedented. No, actually, it's not unprecedented. If you compare this to the late 1800s, trust me, I have my facts on this. The late 1800s into the 1930s, we actually have 4 times less heat waves in the Midwest. I get it, there's other parts of the country, but at least the Midwest, because this is what everybody's focused on. 4 times less of the amount of heat waves in the Midwest compared to the late 1800s and into the 1930s. We've had one 100-degree day since 1992. Prior to that, we had 14 100-degree days. So enough. It's summer. Let's enjoy it. It's only 2 months.
The statistics that you came.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah.
So
I'm not going to throw you under the bus what you said yesterday. So
what did I say yesterday? There's no way I complain. Huh?
We were just getting ready to pull your boat out, and you, in your defense, you were working pretty hard getting the boat ready and cleaning. And what did you say? Man, it is hot out here. I'm like,
yeah.
Whoa, let me check my ears. Hold on.
Oh, I did say it was hot. Yeah, but I don't know that I would consider that a complaint. I was actually trying to bring it on and absorb it. I was sweating a lot. I ruined my brand new Salt Life shirt, but whatever. So yes, everyone, please, it's summer. Let's enjoy summer. Let's get outside. Let's take
2 months left.
Yeah, if that. Let's take Grandma and Grandpa outside. Let them sweat out a little bit of, sweating to the oldies. It's not going to kill them.
Just make sure they have their trust done so you get all their money.
Yeah, there you go. Call Ben. Before you take them outside, make sure you call Ben.
All right. Well, we've hit the hour and 15-minute mark here.
I think we should plug Ben once again and bring up
we are. I'm going to bring up the website again here real quick. But for anybody that it definitely, what I really recommend, and Ben said, just give them a call. Go out. I mean, the cost to get to really find out what's going on and what you really need and what you need to look out for is incredible. I'll say this: when my mother-in-law was in the hospital and needed a lot of care when it came to Medicaid, Medicare, there's nobody in the Metro Detroit area that can handle what is needed when it comes to, especially your parents, anybody when it comes to that kind of service. Ben, contact SSR Law. Any of the lawyers there, especially Ben, can help you out. 586-239-0871. We'll put this up on the website and a link to it as well. But Ben, what do you any kind of last things you want to impress on anybody when it comes to what they really need to do?
No, I think we've covered the estate planning and the work aspect enough. I just want to thank you guys for having me, and we'll have to reconvene on another date.
Yeah.
Our legal expert whenever we go through here.
Great insight and answered a lot of good questions. I did forget to ask you one question. So when you were assembling your team running for office, did it ever cross your mind to put Miller in head of your security?
Miller did attend a lot of events with me.
I did.
He did support the shirt a lot.
I did.
I don't think I necessarily needed security. More or less, I needed sometimes to keep me moving, because you do get tired when you're doing these events.
I'm sure.
And you get asked the same question over and over, and you almost you don't want to get snippy, but man, there's days you want to really respond to that question.
Take somebody's head off.
Ben, we're going to have you on for one thing and one thing only in the next couple of weeks, next couple of months. Ben and I, when I was single before I met Kathy, had an idea for a dating show, The Bachelor Warren. And we came up with all kinds of activities. Like, this is when John John's was still there, because it was going to be an event at John John's and a lot of other things. So we'll have to go through what the Bachelor Warren was going to be.
Dude, I want a full report as to exactly what those plans were. I want to know. Yes, please.
I think one of your key events now, you have to lay by their fountain in a swimwear.
Like the Borat swimwear.
No.
Well, guys, thanks so much.
Ben, I'll say again real quick that that is a stoic picture. I really enjoy that. That's awesome.
Very professional.
Yes.
So what do you guys got coming up this week? Ben, what's big on the docket for you? Obviously you're trying to sue everybody in sight, but what are the boys working on and busy with the summer?
We got some grass cutting going on. We got they're keeping busy, but we're getting down to a little less Xbox time would be nice in my mind, but they're keeping busy.
Absolutely. Mike, Jim, what do you guys got this week?
Tomorrow is a normal day into Ohio. Wednesday is Oakland University orientation day for Kaylee and Rebecca and myself. It is also that evening the elections for the board of the Condo Association at the Marina, so we'll find out if I've been elected there.
Wait, you ran?
I did run.
We didn't know this. We could have put a whole campaign together for you for this.
Listen, I don't even know if I won. I don't know. After some of the very contentious meetings over the past month, I don't know what I was thinking running for this thing. I mean, it is
high school,
huh?
Is it high school all over?
Oh, it's worse than high school. These are adults. I can't put into words the lack of humane speech that these people are. Anyways, I'll go into it. Trust me. But yeah, so that's Wednesday. We'll see if I win that, and then Saturday is Kaylee's graduation party. So here we go. DJ Jim, DJ Dan.
Live Miller. Broadcast of the Unfunniest podcast. There, we're going to do some podcasting.
Yeah, well, we'll have full. Well, listen.
Let me rephrase that. Not live. Will we be recording in front of an audience? But we're not going to send that out live because we're going to have to do a lot of bleeping.
We might get Miller to drink a beer that night.
That'd be
be the first time in a while.
Yeah, exactly. Beer, Miller? I'll do that. Yeah,
Frank the
Jim.
Tank.
Jim, what about you? What's going on this week?
Just same old stuff, different day, work, and then I got some prep work to do with for Kaylee's grad party. It's going to be a gala event. Is that what they say?
Police aren't called. We're not having fun.
Got some family coming in from out of town, so
nice.
Be good to see them.
I get to go to everyone's favorite university here in the Midwest on tomorrow afternoon. That's Bethel University in Mishawaka, and
where
then. I didn't even know there was a Bethel University in Mishawaka, Indiana.
Me either.
But then I get to go hang out at Notre Dame for a full day and head to Fort Wayne, and I'll be back Wednesday night.
You're going to the College Football Hall of Fame?
No, I'm going to go to see Touchdown Jesus. The engineering building for University of Notre Dame is literally right next door to the football stadium. So I'll be there on going there. I'll take some pictures of Touchdown Jesus and send them out to everybody. And but it'll be fun. It'll be a busy couple of days, but need to get some visits in, kind of going through there. But guys, you really want to say thanks so much for everybody.
Thanks again, Ben. We appreciate you coming on, man. Seriously, all kidding aside, it was awesome. Yeah. It was really great.
We'll have you on again. We'll talk about the Bachelor Warrant. We'll talk about the S&M, the Schock and Miller presidential campaign that never took place as well. Some of these other ones. Yeah, it was weird. Rihanna's S&M song was good. It was Schock and Miller. Yeah, so we're gonna do all these things. Hopefully, Ben, you still are part of the bar association. But guys, thank you for everything. Last comments.
You want a last comment?
Yeah. What are you guys gonna say?
Everybody have a great week. Thanks for continue to like us, continue to follow us, share us, tell us what you think, give us your comments, good and bad, preferably good, but we take corrective criticism too. So bring it.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. We will have a Let Jim Talk live with Kathy next weekend. And
do we want to tease who our guest is next Monday, or yeah?
We will mention it. I'm going to confirm it, but in the next couple of weeks, we will be having the Cartnark himself, Agent Sebastian from the Cartnark, will be joining us live in tape when it comes to this. So we've been talking with them.
Who knew that there was? Listen, I did that rant about the cart thing, and then I did my video. I had no idea that there was actually a Cartnark out there that goes,
Not only that, they've got like 800,000 followers.
It's crazy. This guy is phenomenal. I mean, he takes everything that I wanted to do with this cart thing, and he brings it to reality.
You missed your calling.
I did. I was watching. I'm watching this video. I'm like, this guy is my hero. Look at him. He's chasing people down. He throws magnets on their cars when they don't put their cart back. And then, I mean, it gets contentious. These guys get out of their car. They start screaming and swearing at him and everything else. They drive off. They stop. They come back and they want to get in more arguments with him. And he's just great. He's like, hey, man, all you got to do is put your cart back in the cart return. It's the best ever. This guy's my hero. I can't wait to talk to him.
We get to talk to Mike's hero. Thanks, everybody, again. Have a great week, and we will see you for episode 11 next weekend.
See you guys.
See ya.